That's a really lame frickin' attempt to share the gospel, if you ask me. It is that time of year again when all the kids go door to door asking strangers for candy, and when bloodshed and fear are supposed to be associated with fun. We need to talk about this one. So if you saw from my title, this is obviously going to be kind of controversial to some people. So before you get all defensive, listen in and grab your coffee, because I've got some details of the origins of this holiday that might shock you and catch you by surprise. It's pretty messed up, guys. This is not something that any Christian home or any home in general should be celebrating. Please don't mind my family in the background. They are all outside with me playing in the tree that we cut down last week, and James is doing some outside chores, so if you see all that, I know it's distracting. First of all, the purpose of this video is not to be argumentative or debatable. I just am here as a messenger, and conviction is up to the Holy Spirit. In simplest terms, Halloween is quite satanic. It's actual rituals and ceremonies that they do with this festival is in worship of the devil himself. So I'm going to dig into a little bit of that. So the holiday originated from a Celtic god that was named Samhain. It is spelt like this, but it is pronounced Samhain, or Samhain, I guess. So basically this was their god of the dead, and the Celts believed that the veil, I guess, between life and death was the thinnest at this time of the year. So October 31st to November 1st is like their high days, okay? And so they actually believe that at this time of the year, the veil between the two worlds was thinnest. They believed that when they leaved offerings for fairies and Sids, like evil fairies that they believed in, they would be able to see their dead ancestors, and that they would cross over that barrier for the night, and that they would get to partake in a festival with their dead relatives. Side note, if you are a Christian, you know that you cannot communicate with your dead relatives or people who have passed away. If you are communicating with a spirit of some sort, it is a demon. So witches and warlocks all around the world literally take this day to celebrate satanic rituals and ceremonies that would bring spiritual corruption and attacks on their communities and the church, specifically the Christian church, right? Because the opposite of the devil is God, right? So naturally, that's who they're after. What kind of satanic ceremonies and rituals am I talking about? The freaky ones that are in horror movies or, like, biblical history. So the Celts would have bone fires, not bonfires. That is what the word turned into modern day, but they were actually called bone fires. And this wasn't like your average little campfire or even like a bigger size bonfire with your friends. This was like a legit tower of fire. They actually would make sacrifices to the devil, not only with animals sacrifices, but actually human sacrifices too. So the reason that they would do these bonfires with human sacrifices is because they would then take the ashes of these fires from those sacrifices, and they would sprinkle them over the land with the understanding that it would protect them from these evil spirits. It's pretty messed up. I mean, that's messed up. After some time, this holiday was attempted to be Christianized by 2 different popes down the line a little bit, and obviously this was not a Christian holiday at all, and so that was kind of a flop, but that's why they now call it All Saints' Day on November 1st, even though that was still already part of this Celtic demonic day of Halloween. And so it was still already part of Samhain, and therefore nothing ever did change, even though it was attempted to have a new name. So eventually England renamed it to All Hallows Eve, and then obviously where we are today is the modern name of it is Halloween. And so even though the name had changed so many times, the actual holiday itself stayed on these days, and it did not change any of the traditions or rituals that these people were practicing in. So the traditions that are behind carving pumpkins, leaving the jack-o'-lanterns out on your front step, having your children or you dress up as something else, bobbing for apples, all that stuff, trick-or-treating even, that is all still part of modern day witchcraft. All of that is still practiced today by witches and warlocks all over the world. So this is where it gets really interesting. So you might think, well, that's just a messed up belief, like I don't believe in that, no big deal. But why is that satanic? Or why is this like Satan's holiday? Well, the problem here is that the Church of Satan, there's actually a thing called the Church of Satan, has very strong ties with Halloween. So Blanche Barton is the self-proclaimed high priestess of the Church of Satan. And she quoted this about Halloween. She said this, okay? I will leave the link in the description box below so that you can check it out for yourself, but this is what she said. Halloween is traditionally a time when the obscure portal into the realms of darkness, death, and the supernatural is thrown open. Demons and spirits have free reign for one night, cavorting, enticing us into their revels, and revealing glimpses into their future. As a child drawn to darker passions from birth, I always delighted in the fear and fantasies of Halloween. It gives even the most mundane people the opportunity to taste wickedness for one night. They have a chance to dance with the devil, either stumbling, teetering, and nervous in the arms of Black Prince, or boldly, ravenously sharing in the sensual excesses and fright of others on this magical, unholy night. It's pretty messed up. This isn't just dressing up as a cute animal and getting candy from your neighbor. There is a lot of backstory to this one, and I think that as Christians we need to be a lot more bold about this. The problem here is that light and darkness cannot coexist, okay? And the problem with the modern day idea of celebrating Halloween for what it is right now in modern day is just not, it's not excusable. Ephesians 5:11 says this, take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. So we should be aware of these things, and we should be shining our light on them, shining that light on the darkness and exposing the evil that's in them, and not participating in them, because they truthfully really are demonic holidays that these Satan worshipers are actually utilizing this day to cause destruction to the Christian community. And there are a lot of testimonies of people who have left the satanic religion and cult because their eyes were opened up to Jesus and the truth behind it all. This is what 1 Corinthians 10:21 says. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons. So the problem with the idea of thinking that as Christians we can celebrate Halloween and still be Christian is just not at all real or possible, because you don't see satanic worshipers coming to our Good Friday service and our Resurrection Sunday, praising and getting excited about Jesus living, right? That's what it's like when Christians celebrate Halloween. It's us celebrating something satanic and evil and demonizing, and it's just not holy at all. It is so the opposite of that. And my job here is to just share that information with you. As a believer, when you've accepted Jesus Christ as Lord and you are born again, you have been freed from sin and death and darkness. Like, you're not part of this world anymore. So Why would you use your free will to celebrate something that is so dishonoring to God and that literally brings you right back to those chains that held you captive for so long before you were a believer? And again, this is all coming from a Christian perspective. The thing that gets me the most upset with other believers is when I hear other believers say, I use this as an opportunity for evangelizing to all the kids that come right to my door, and I can share the gospel with them there and be the love of Christ. Do Satanists come to your church on a Sunday and hand out flyers for you to partake in any of their demonic rituals and traditions? Do they come to church on Sunday and recruit you? Like, no, they don't. They don't, because they literally can't coexist. Why is that your only time of year to talk to all of your neighbors? Like, is that really the excuse to talk to your neighbors once a year? Halloween? That's a really lame frickin' attempt to share the gospel, if you ask me. But I do kind of highly doubt you actually do that. If you're one of those people that say, oh, I use that as an opportunity to share the gospel, what do? Like, hand out the gospel on a little pumpkin piece of paper? Like, what kid is going to sit there and read that when they have a whole bucket of candy? There are much more tried and true ways of getting a child's attention, and it is not through a piece of paper surrounded by candy that they got from other houses. I think it's time for the church to wake up. I'm really getting sick and tired of all of the really wishy-washy, lukewarm, not very bold preaching out there. Honestly, all these churches are doing trunk or treat and literally inviting people to their church to celebrate this devil's holiday to get more people in the door so that we aren't as much of an outcast as they all think we are. Like, this is not who we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be like them. We are supposed to stand out from the world. We need to have those attributes, and we need to steer clear from this stuff. We need to steer clear from all of these things because, truthfully, there are just so many things getting mixed up and passed down to each generation that we don't even know the origins of it anymore. So instead of participating in holidays like Halloween, instead what we should be doing is we should be, as Christians, exposing it and shining a light on it. Seek the Lord's purity in your heart, because this is just not something that any of us should be participating in or encouraging. So, moral of the story, I do not think that it is appropriate for a Christian to be celebrating Halloween, especially since it is so satanic and its origin roots are still being practiced today by Wiccans, and I really want us to protect this generation of kiddos. Okay, truthfully, that is my whole ambition here on sharing this video. I know that I'm going to get a lot of snark about it, but it's got to be said, guys. It's time for the church to wake up and be bold and be brave and be courageous. Just like this holiday made its way to America through the immigration of Celtic and Irish people, it has slowly made its way to become a tradition that we have kind of Americanized in some ways, but the roots and origins of why they do certain traditions and things still remains current today. Unfortunately, there are still modern witchcraft, and they are still practicing the same exact things that you're doing right now. You just don't realize it. So that jack-o'-lantern, the bobbing for apples, the festivities that you partake in, like dressing up and such, that is still rituals that are being practiced today for demonic reasons. And I really just think it's very impure that any Christian home would have something like that going on as part of their annual traditions in the fall. So I would highly recommend that you look into these sources yourself and allow the Holy Spirit to convict you where you might be wrong. So I wanted to leave you with some other ideas that are way more wholesome and even holy to celebrate this time of year, because you know what? Fall is an awesome time of year, and God created this season, not the devil. He's a copycat. So the real holiday that is holy to be celebrated during this time is Sukkot. If you haven't heard of Sukkot or the Feast of Tabernacles, I'm gonna make a new video about that coming up here soon. Sukkot for 2022 is over. It just ended, but I want you to be informed so that you can start making those plans for next year, because I'm going to be honest with you, it is a lot of fun. It is really, really fun, and it's so satisfying to celebrate something that God has given to us for His purpose, for His glory, to be reminded of what He did. I know that it's easy to believe that that is just for Jews, for Jewish people to celebrate, but it's not. That is actually something that Jesus Himself partook in. There's some really, really cool connections with that throughout the entire Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, modern day, today. So I'm going to make a new video about that, so you can expect that eventually. I don't know if I'll get to that in the coming weeks, but soon you can expect a video for that, because I'm very excited to share with you all the cool things about Sukkot. Please like and subscribe to our videos. That really helps us out. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up for me. If you have any questions or comments about this video, go ahead and shoot a comment down there, and I'll try my best to respond to it.